What is going on, traders? We have a lot to talk about. This is going to be a very serious video, so I'm going to need you guys to take it serious because what I'm about to say could potentially tank the market. Something happened today. All right. We had a lot of FOMC members speak today, and one of them said, specifically Bowman, said that December should be the last rate cut. Again, December should be the last rate cut. This is very bad. This is extremely bad for the market. Now, you guys know that I normally focus on TA most of the time, but some news you just cannot ignore. And that specifically is one of the things that you cannot ignore. You can't ignore that. All right, that is very bad for the market. And so in my last video, I was leaning bullish. We were talking about previous highs, if not previous highs, all-time highs. And it's looking like I'm going to eat my words and I'm going to lose a lot of subscribers. And yeah, so it is what it is. It's fine. I was mentally prepared for it. One thing I can say is that I'm glad the market was closed today because I will probably lose a lot more subscribers than I'm about to lose right now. But we got to take this serious. We got to be serious, and I got to get you guys prepared for what's about to happen next. What you do with this information is up to you. I don't blame you if you're like, he's a fraud or whatever the case may be. Do what you want in the comments. I do YouTube because I enjoy it, not because of subscriber counts or monetization or anything like that. I do this because I enjoy it and it keeps me busy. So let's get into it. So we're looking at Bitcoin. We're looking at Bitcoin daily time frame, and right now we are witnessing Bitcoin react to this news. And so far, Bitcoin is fighting for its life around 92K. It is trying its best to hold 92K, or I should say, bulls are trying their best to hold 92K. You're looking at a head and shoulders pattern. You got your shoulder here, head here, another shoulder here. Now, if we're talking about Bitcoin being a leading indicator of the market, it's safe to assume that the market is going to react the same way that Bitcoin is currently reacting right now. Now, me personally, I will be really surprised the market doesn't react to that news. But if it doesn't, and let's say we start seeing a little upside or whatever, I would imagine that we're just waiting on the news to come in that we're going to get tomorrow. And either that news tomorrow is going to double down on what she said or it's going to contradict what she said. So if we don't see an immediate reaction from the Nasdaq and the ES, then it's not over. Okay, it doesn't mean anything just yet. It's not a good sign just yet. We want to see what happens tomorrow at around 8:30 Eastern. And so what we want to see happen tomorrow is that we want to see numbers come in low. If the numbers come in low, then that contradicts what she said, and there's a chance for more upside. If they come in high, then that pretty much doubles down on what she said. So that's what we want to see if we're looking to be bullish. If we're looking to be bearish, then you just look for the opposite. All right. So we're looking at Bitcoin daily time frame. You got your head and shoulders pattern here. You got your shoulder here, head here, another shoulder here, fighting for its life at around 92K. If it gives up 92K and holds, you're looking at a move towards 90K. Your main level to look out for here, guys. Okay, your main level to look out for is 88K. If Bitcoin gives up 88K, you are entering very illiquid territory and you can tank really, really fast. All right, you can start seeing moves as low as 75K. All right, now if we want to lowball it, we want to be humble, then we can say 80K. But again, if you enter this very illiquid territory, you can start heading as low as the 70Ks. All right, so be ready for that. Be prepared for that. All right. Now, if we're talking about the projected move or the measured move for this head and shoulders pattern on Bitcoin, and we want a more accurate projection or accurate target, I should say, we just drag it down to the bottom of the neckline, and there you have it. You're looking at about 75K, just like I said. So that is something to look out for in regards to Bitcoin. Now, again, if we're talking about Bitcoin being a leading indicator, then it's safe to assume that the market is going to react the same way. And the market opens in about 20 minutes, my time, Eastern time. All right, so let's talk about upside here, which I'm not really counting on at this point anymore. Until Bitcoin gets above 100K, we talked about this before, there's not much to talk about. Me personally, I would like to see Bitcoin get above 103K. And if we get above that, then we can definitely start talking about new highs. But right now, it's just not looking good for Bitcoin. And so that leads me to talk about the SPY. And so right now, it's looking like we have to bring back those bearish targets that we talked about in the past when I was actually bearish for about 2 weeks straight. And one of those targets was 576. We talked about this target plenty of times and how I was pretty much bearish and how I expected that target to get hit before January 17th. And it's looking like if the market reacts to this news, that is going to happen. All right, so 576. Why 576? We're looking at the daily time frame. You have not one but two gaps in this area that need to be filled. And so again, key levels 586. You get below 586, you're heading towards 584. You get below 584, you're boiling. You get below 580, you're cooked. You get below 578, the house is on fire. Now, I said this in the past when I was bearish on the market, right? I said if the SPY gets below 578, you could be heading as low as the 560s. Okay. Why 560s? Well, if we're talking about the measured move for this head and shoulders pattern, I show you guys how to do this all the time. You measure it from the top of the head to the neckline, or not the neck, yeah, to the neckline. You drag the measurement to the bottom of the neckline, and there's your measured move all the way towards 560, 559, give or take. And so, if we get below 578 on the SPY, you can be heading as low as the 560s. All right. Now, if you want better confirmation, then you could just simply wait for this gap to get filled at 576. I don't think we're just going to tank straight there. I want to be clear. I don't think we're just going to head straight to 560s. Okay. A lot of you take what I say way too literal. Okay, on these videos. So that's what we're looking at in regards to downside. Now, in case I'm wrong for whatever reason, and I don't know, maybe the market already priced in that news. What we want to see is the SPY get back above 590. If the SPY gets above 590, then you're heading towards 592. You get above 592, chances are you're heading towards 598. All right. So that's what I'm looking at in regards to upside. Again, right now, it's just not looking too good. The market opens in a few minutes, so we'll see, but it's not looking too good. So that's what I'm looking at in regards to upside and downside on the SPY. Triple Qs. Triple Qs. So let's actually go to the weekly time frame. So triple Qs, very interesting. We are trading back within this rising channel. All right. And as long as the triple Q stays below 515, there's a good chance that you're going to head towards 512. We already saw that happen. You get below 512, 510 is your site level. Your main level here is 505. You get below 505, you're going to see a move towards 503 next. And again, we have to bring back our bearish target of 492. We talked about that target in the past when I was extremely bearish on the market. And it's looking like if the market reacts the way I think it's going to react to this news, we can start seeing that move towards 492. Why 492? Just like the SPY, there's not one, but two gaps in this area. So you want to see 503 minimum, 505 hold. All right, so that's what we're looking at for the triple Qs in regards to downside. You also have this bearish engulfing candle. Now, if you're talking about upside here, all right, if you're talking about upside, what you want to see happen is not only a break above 529, but you want to see a break above 530 psych level. All right, now we're really far from that. We're really, really far from that. But in regards to short term, you want to see a move above 518. You get above 518, you're heading towards 520 psych level. After that, 522. You get above 522, you're heading towards 525, which is another psych level. After that, 529, 530. You get above 530, chances are you're heading towards previous highs, if not all-time highs. All right. So that's what we're looking at for the triple Qs. And so, of course, we have to talk about Nvidia. Nvidia. Nvidia needs to hold 140. I don't think it's holding it after hours, I believe. I think it went to like 138. We'll see. But yeah, Nvidia. So we go to, let's actually zoom out. We don't have to go anywhere. All right. So we're on a daily time frame. As you guys can see, we have us a rising wedge. And so one of the bearish targets that I had for Nvidia when I was extremely bearish, right before the last video actually, was 120. If Nvidia gives up 140, which it looks like it's doing, and it doesn't reclaim 141, chances are you're heading towards 136, 137, give or take. After that, you're looking at a move towards 133. After that, you're looking at a move towards 130. At that point, guys, I think you're just going to head straight to 120. All right. This rising wedge is massive. Okay. It's extremely massive. Okay. So you want to keep that in mind. All right. So that's what I'm looking at for Nvidia in regards to downside. In regards to upside, you want to see Nvidia reclaim 141. After that, you're pretty illiquid in this area, but again, bears are very, very strong in this area. Now, this is very strong support. Okay, so very, very strong support right here. We stopped at very strong support. So I personally wouldn't have blamed anyone for getting into calls or even buying Nvidia at the 140 mark. because you have triple support in this area. Okay, I think the 20 SMA is here as well. So yeah, Nvidia might just gap down if we're talking about this news being as bad as I think it is. Okay, so that's something to look out for. If that's the case, then you're looking at a move towards the 120s, and we're going to have to adjust. Okay, we're going to have to adjust because yeah, I think at this point, the market is going to open soon. At this point, we're going to see a really bad reaction to this news. Okay, or maybe not. Maybe tomorrow contradicts what she said, but for the short term, it's looking pretty bad, especially given what Bitcoin is doing. So that's what I'm looking at for Nvidia. All right. In regards to the IWM, the Russell. Plain and simple, the Russell has been showing bearish signs for quite some time. You're looking at a move towards 213 because what do we know about the Russell? We know that Russell reacts very bad to news. Not bad, but it just has a strong reaction to news. It doesn't really react to anything but news, okay? CPI data, non-farm payrolls, it reacts to all that. It doesn't really do its own thing without news. And so this rate cut news is very bad for the Russell. I do imagine the Russell is going to have the biggest reaction out of everything else. 213 is my target for the Russell if we're talking about downside, and it's been trying its best. Okay, it's been trying its best to hold here. But yeah, not looking too good. The Russell gives up 220. Chances are you're heading towards 218. After 218, you give up 218, guys, you're heading to the abyss. Simple as that. You're heading straight to that 213. Lowest I'm looking at is about 210 on the Russell IWM. Tesla, 360, simple as that. Tesla most likely will head towards 360 if it reacts to this news the same way. 360 is a very key area right here. I mean, you see it here, you rejected here, you consolidated under it, and then you eventually broke out. So I do expect Tesla to head towards the 360s at this point. 367, 368, give or take. Lowest I'm looking at is about 355, if we're being bearish. But what I will say is that Tesla is trading within this bull flag, so that is a good sign. So we could see some type of breakout from here, but otherwise, if that's not the case, then Tesla could just have a complete meltdown. Um, we won't talk about that. Okay, it can get much worse, but we won't talk about it until we get more confirmation that that is the potential move. And so we look at the VIX because I always forget about the VIX, so I'm just gonna knock it out now. Then we'll get into we'll get into Apple and all that. The VIX. So one thing I can say, okay, one thing I can say is that bears are really pushing the VIX. We're really pushing the VIX down, but it's looking like that might not be the case. Okay, so the VIX does have a lot of gaps to the downside, so that's good in regards to long term because at some point in time those gaps will need to get filled. However, up here is very illiquid. Okay, around 24 is very illiquid, so we do have a fair value gap, and I mean a massive fair value gap in this area. And I imagine the VIX at some point in time is going to want to mitigate this area and clear this area out. All right. Now, if the VIX reacts the way I think it's going to react, we can head as high as the 30s. Highest I'm looking at is about 35. All right. So we'll see. Okay. I'm not going to jump the gun just yet, but I mean, things are just not looking good, guys. So right here, there we go. Right here, I imagine the VIX is going to want to head here, knock this out, possibly higher towards 24. We break above this area around above 30. I'll say 29. You're heading towards 35 pretty easy. It's pretty liquid up there, so we'll see. In regards to downside, you want to see the VIX get below 16. After 16, you're looking at a gap fill at around that 14.8. Right, where was it? Let's go to the 4 hour. I had it marked too. There we go. 14.75, 14.8, give or take. So if I'm looking at for the VIX, Apple. Now, Apple is probably one of the stocks that I am going to lean way more bearish than others. Okay. Nvidia, I mean, Nvidia sounded bad, 120, yeah, so that does sound bad. But Apple, um, 237.5. Okay, 237.5. Me personally, so we go to the daily time frame here, and right now Apple is breaking back below this rising wedge. If we're talking about a measured move for Apple, we're talking about a move towards 205. All right, 205 for Apple. I'm not saying that's going to happen all in one day, guys. Okay, I want to make that clear. I think a lot of you take my dates on my thumbnails too seriously, and you're like, "Oh, he thinks this is going to happen that day, and that's it." Like, no, obviously, I'm a swing trader. I expect these things to happen over time. Okay, so I want to make that clear. But Apple, 237.5 is what you want to see hold. You get below that, you're heading towards the low 230s. 233, between 233 and 230. If you're talking about the measured move for this rising wedge pattern, you're looking at a move as low as 205. All right. I can't say for sure that's going to happen. What I will say is that you're very liquid back up here. So Apple, at some point in time in the future, I don't know when, is going to want to mitigate this area all the way heading towards 260. So um, could see a bounce from 237.5. It's hard to say, but yeah, if you see a bounce from here, then chances are a solid bounce and a roll back into this pattern, then chances are you're heading towards the 260s, probably even towards the 270s. We'll see. But that's what I'm looking at for Apple. All right. The semiconductor ETFs, I'm kind of like going out of order here. Semiconductor ETFs, we are in 220 puts for SMH, so that is a good thing for us if the market does react the way I think it's going to react to that news. So yeah, 220, all right, 220. I don't think it's going to happen overnight or anything like that, but that is a target we can be looking out for in regards to SMH. But right now, SMH is at support. It could just easily gap down and it gets worse. I didn't plot this just yet, so I do apologize. It's kind of sloppy, but yeah. In regards to upside for SMH, 255, you want to see it get back above 255. After that, you're heading towards 260. It gets above 263. Chances are you're heading towards this gap fill at around the 270s. SOXX. SOXX, you want to see SOXX get above 233. I would say 234 to be safe, and then chances are you're heading towards the 240s. In regards to downside, you're looking at 225. As long as you stay below 225, you're heading towards 220. Right now, it's at 223.5 after hours, probably much lower than that. We'll see. You get below 220, it gets pretty liquid all the way to about 215, 217, give or take. And then after that, you're looking at a move towards 210 on the SOXX. And then last, Meta, actually AVGO after this, but Meta. Meta is trading within this rising wedge. It breaks below this rising wedge, you're heading towards 560. So if Meta gets back below 600, you're heading towards the 580, 588, give or take. After that, you break below what is this, 580, yeah, 580 psych level, then chances are you're heading towards 560. In regards to upside, you want to see Meta get above 630, 631, give or take. Chances are you're heading towards 650. All right. AVGO. So AVGO, Discord member, been pretty bearish on this, so congrats to him. I think. I don't know if he took profit or not, but yeah, AVGO, you get below what is it, 227 right here, 228, 227, give or take. You're heading towards 224, 223. After that, yeah, it gets really bad. You get below 220, 219. You're heading towards 215. After that, you're looking at a move towards 210. You get below 210, you're starting to head into this gap fill area all the way towards 188. So that's what I'm looking at in regards to the overall market. Let me know your thoughts below. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm looking too deep into it. But yeah, no rate cuts or should be no rate cuts is pretty bad news. Okay, pretty bad news. The market is going to be open by the time I put this out. So we'll see. Maybe I'm very wrong about this too, but we'll see. Other than that, let me know your thoughts below. Trolls, the floodgates are open. Feel free to have fun. Lucky for me, the market was not open for the last video, so um, it looks like we're going to be prepared for this drop, potential drop to happen, especially if Bitcoin continues to head further down. I think that's a great leading indicator for what's to come. We'll see. Other than that, if you agree, let me know. If you disagree, let me know as well. Just keep it respectful as always. I really doubt that's going to be the case. I am going to get destroyed in the comments, and that's fine. I'm going to let it slide. I'm going to let it happen. Is what it is. Discord link is in the description below. Until the next video, traders, you have a good one.